with 24 of 30 NBA teams still plausibly competing for something, the results of adding the play-in tournament are clear and encouraging. The tanking era as we knew it is over. To repeat, 24 teams at 24 is the highest we've ever had in the history of the league, with a month left, said Evan Wash, the NBA's executive vice president of basketball strategy and analytics. According to Wash, the biggest gap a team has overcome to make the playoffs, with 15 games left in a season, is 4 games. It's happened twice. So the league is using that 4-game gap as the gauge for still in contention. And when the league hit the 15-game mark last week, 24 teams were either firmly in the playoff field or, at worst, within 4 games of 10. Yes, league officials looked it up. And yes, they're quite pleased with that stat, and with the rules changes that fostered it. The results are clear and encouraging. In the Eastern Conference, 6 teams are vying for a play-in slot, including 3, the Wizards, Bulls and Raptors, who might have given up in past years, given how far they are from 8th place, the old cutoff point. The West also has 6 teams scrapping to make the play-in, including 4, the Warriors, Spurs, Pelicans and Kings, who might have folded if 8th place was still the cutoff point. My overarching view is that the rule changes worked, said Ryan McDonough, the former Suns general manager, and current host of the Step 1 was the flatter lottery odds. In the past, the team with the worst record had the greatest odds, 25%, of winning the top draft pick, and was guaranteed a top 4 pick. The team with the second worst record had a 19.9% shot at the number 1 pick, with the odds decreasing for the third worst team, 15.6%, the fourth worst team, 11.9%, and so on. Now, the teams with the 3 worst records have identical odds of winning the top pick, 14%, and of picking in the top 4, 52.1%. The team with the 4th worst record isn't far behind, with a 12.5% chance of winning the number 1 pick, and 48.1% chance of a top 4 pick. The new odds disincentivized the race to the bottom strategy that took root over the past decade, a trend that deeply disturbed Commissioner Adam Silver and spurred the push for lottery reform. There's no assured payoff for losing now. But it doesn't mean teams aren't still actively working to massage their lottery odds. So, who's tanking? Which professional team has the most loyal fanbase in sports? Should NFL players have to pay to change their jersey number? Verducci. The A's are off to a hot start this season, showing how offense has changed in recent years. Are the Knicks capable of knocking off the top teams in the East? Verducci. Mike Trout is currently playing at his career peak. Why Paul George must translate his regular season performance to the NBA playoffs. Who is the most important player on the Nets' route to a championship? What are the ramifications from the dissolution of the Super League? Is it too early to be concerned about Francisco Lindor's struggles? Las Vegas Raiders face backlash following "I Can Breathe" tweet daily cover. Dimes and Pearls. Has MLB risen in popularity this season? Is Chris Paul having his most impressive season? Is Steph Curry the best player in the league right now? Nikola Jokic has essentially locked up the NBA MVP award. Will Mike Tomlin lead the Steelers to a Super Bowl in the next 3 years? And the Rockets have a clear incentive to be bad. Their draft pick can be claimed by the Thunder via a pick swap, unless it lands in the top 4. The Timberwolves haven't made any overt attempts to tank, but they do have incentive to be bad. If their pick falls outside the top 3, it goes to the Warriors, as part of last year's Andrew Wiggins-D'Angelo Russell trade. If they land a top 3 pick, the Wolves keep it, but would send their 2022 pick to the Warriors. Also worth noting, rival executives believe only one team, the Thunder, entered this season with the clear intention of being bad. The rest of the sub-.400 teams were, at some point, trying to win, but were undermined by injuries, Magic, Timberwolves, trade demands, Rockets, or just poor roster construction, Cavaliers. The future of the play-in tournament, which was adopted on a 1-year trial basis, is a huge key. But given the impact it's already made, league sources expect easy approval to make it permanent. Based on what we've seen in terms of team behavior the last few years, the competitiveness on the court and the competitiveness in the standings, "We're pleased with the early results of both the lottery change and the play-in tournament," said Wash. "While tanking may persist more subtly on some level, the tanking era is almost certainly over. So go ahead and delete the folder of tank gifs." And, to the folks at tankathon.com, maybe consider a name change. I was roundly mocked by my friend Rachel Nichols for suggesting this last year, but I'm not giving up. We need a deeper MVP ballot. 7 slots, instead of the current 5, maybe even 10 slots. No, it's not about participation trophies. It's about recognizing the field is always much broader and more diverse than a 5-man ballot allows for. Don't believe me? Let's walk through a quick exercise. We hear these statements every spring. Now consider the list of players who fit one of them. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard, Stephen Curry, Damian Lillard, Luka Doncic, Chris Paul, or Devin Booker, Rudy Gobert, or Donovan Mitchell, James Harden. Depending on how you view that 5th ballot slot, you could even argue for Jimmy Butler, Zion Williamson, Jason Tatum and Julius Randle. That's 17 players who are legitimately worthy of consideration, not all of them for the top ballot slots, mind you, but as players who had outstanding, even historic, seasons and a profound impact on their teams. Every voter has their own approach. So it's possible these guys will all find their way onto a ballot somewhere. Over the last 5 award cycles, 10 to 13 players have gotten at least one vote in a given year. Expand the ballot to 7 slots, and suddenly it's a lot easier to get Curry, Lillard and Doncic on there. Or Gobert, or Booker, or Williamson. There's precedent for a bigger ballot. Major League Baseball has used a 10-slot MVP ballot since 1931. No one, to my knowledge, has ever complained that it dilutes or cheapens the process. Nothing I'm proposing would change the end result. We'd still have Jokic and Embiid jockeying for the top 2 spots this year, followed by a crush of Lillards and Lucas and Leonards. But the vast tier of worthy of consideration guys would, at least, all get their consideration.